On Friday, Donald Trump posted, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings." Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go ahead and say it. Cancel culture has gone too far. It's sunk in that they're killing off our show. But they made one mistake. They left me alive. And now for the next 10 months,
It started like any other night. Colbert in a suit, Trump somewhere rage tweeting in a bathrobe. But then the jokes got sharper, the smirk got smugger, and suddenly Stephen went full savage. We're talking 10 minutes of scorched earth comedy so brutal it probably made Trump's hairspray curl. No cue cards, no chill. Just Colbert serving piping hot truth wrapped in sarcasm and sprinkled with glittery disdain. Trump wanted a war of words, but he brought a crayon to a Shakespeare fight. There's
anyone even cares about the guy.
I don't understand it. Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life.
There's a certain type of magic in watching a man who claims to be a billionaire get owned by a man who makes his living telling bedtime jokes to America's insomnia. And when that man is Stephen Colbert, you know Trump's ego is about to be flattened harder than a MAGA hat in a steamroller factory. Because nothing screams poetic justice like a late-night comic handing a president his own spray-tan backside on a silver platter.
This is just Saturday. On Saturday, Trump surprised the world, announcing that the U.S. launched strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. Now, were we facing an imminent threat? I don't know. On one hand, Iran's slogan isn't "Life to America." But it's hard to trust Donald Trump to be the one making these kinds of decisions. It kind of feels like we're all in the back seat while the Uber driver goes on a road rage.
See, Donald Trump tried to pick a fight with Colbert, which honestly is like a raccoon challenging a flamethrower to a staring contest. And Colbert, with that signature grin that screams, "I read books and I know what verbs are," didn't just hit back. He threw a comedy haymaker so spicy it could have been served with a side of Tums at Mar-a-Lago's all-you-can-eat buffet of delusion.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, my mustache comes to you with a heavy heart because while I was on vacation, my parent corporation, Paramount, paid Donald Trump a $16 million settlement over his 60 Minutes lawsuit. As someone who has always been a proud employee of this network, I am offended. And I don't know if anything will ever repair my trust in this.
Trump, whose idea of intellectual rigor is yelling fake news at microwave beeps, apparently didn't realize that Colbert has been weaponizing sarcasm since before Melania learned to blink on command. So when Trump came lurching into the arena thinking he'd clown a man whose entire job is professionally clowning clowns, he ended up doing what he does best, humiliating himself on a national scale.
All this heat may be affecting the president because, and I want to be Sir, I want to be sensitive about this. His skin seems to be falling off. Trump was speaking on the White House lawn earlier this week, and see if you can pinpoint the moment the cameraman got a little distracted.
At the end of 50 days, if we don't have a deal, it's going to be too bad.
Well, get more aggressive.
Yeah, the tariffs are going to go on, and other sanctions go on.
Holy Sephora sample counter!
Let's be honest. Trump attacking Colbert is like a turkey challenging Gordon Ramsay to a roast-off. One of them has Michelin stars and the other is just, well, stuffed with nonsense. And the only thing Trump has successfully roasted is the integrity of American democracy, and maybe his own hair follicles.
It lacked a certain showmanship, which is surprising because we heard it had tanks and stuff, but in reality, this is what you got. Of course, the White House claims that 250,000 people attended. So now, apparently, 250,000 people looks like this. They must be really good at hiding.
So Colbert took the stage, probably in a well-tailored suit that didn't look like it was borrowed from a 1990s Men's Warehouse fire sale, and let it rip. He didn't just clap back, he composed a symphony of shade and conducted it with the finesse of someone who's read a constitution and didn't try to eat it. Because Trump's latest tantrum, a full-on meltdown that made Chernobyl look like a lukewarm bowl of oatmeal. The man is out here raging about late-night comedians while simultaneously pretending he's not watching them obsessively at 2 a.m. like a divorced dad stalking his ex-wife's Instagram. And the irony? Trump's whole persona is basically a late-night parody of a president that somehow escaped the writer's room and ended up in the Situation Room. The only difference is that Colbert's parody has punchlines, and Trump's presidency was the punchline. That's not political commentary, that's just natural selection on pause. Or the way Trump still insists he won an election, he lost by more votes than the number of times he's changed his stance on windmills. Colbert knows that logic has never been Trump's strong suit. His actual strong suit is denial. And even that's starting to look threadbare.
This settlement is for a nuisance lawsuit Trump filed claiming that 60 Minutes deceptively edited their interview with then-candidate Kamala Harris last fall. Paramount knows they could have easily fought it because, in their own words, the lawsuit was completely without merit. And keep in mind, Paramount produced Transformers: Rise of the Beast. They know completely without merit.
Let's not forget the time Trump tried to buy Greenland, because apparently someone told him it had tremendous real estate potential and he thought it was a frozen golf course. Colbert could roast that for a decade and still have material left for reruns. And while Trump is busy lobbing paper towel rolls of rage at anyone who critiques him, Colbert is out here calmly dissecting the absurdity with the precision of a surgeon and the sass of a Broadway diva with a vendetta. Trump can't handle satire because satire requires self-awareness. It requires acknowledging that maybe, just maybe, being president isn't the same as being the loudest guy in the room with a poorly tied tie and a vendetta against wind energy. But Colbert, he thrives on that contradiction. He turns every Trump gaffe into comedy gold, every lie into a monologue, every tantrum into a ratings boost. And Trump absolutely hates it. And those aren't assets you can declare bankruptcy on, no matter how many times you've stiffed a contractor.
There is a tenuous ceasefire between Iran and Israel. What happened was around 6 p.m. last night, Donald Trump dropped this post. Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire officially. Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire.
Colbert didn't just respond, he dismantled. With every raised eyebrow, every punchline, every perfectly timed pause, he turned Trump into a walking meme of regret. And let's be honest, watching Trump try to go head-to-head with Colbert is like watching a goose try to out-debate a chess grandmaster. Loud honking, a lot of feathers, and absolutely no strategy. But the best part? Trump walked right into it. He always does, because he thinks comedy works the same way as political rallies. Scream loud enough, and someone will cheer. But Colbert doesn't play that game. He doesn't need to incite a crowd. He just needs to raise an eyebrow, drop a line, and boom. Trump's left blinking like he's just been told Puerto Rico is part of the United States. And the more Trump spirals, the sharper Colbert gets. He's the guy who doesn't just call out the emperor for having no clothes. He designs a full runway show mocking the emperor's spray tan, hairpiece, and pathological inability to spell. Remember when Trump tried to ban TikTok? Trump's whole image is a living parody of competence. And Colbert's made it his full-time hobby to broadcast that parody on high definition every weeknight to millions of viewers who just want someone to say what they're all thinking. Is this real life? Or are we trapped in a reality TV blooper reel with no off switch?
No, he's right. The Epstein saga is a total snooze fest. I mean, the most powerful man in the world is blocking information about a cabal of the rich, the famous, and the royal, befriending a con man who regularly flies off in his private plane to his private island to do super illegal sex stuff. Then the con man is arrested. People are afraid he's going to name names, but before he can, he mysteriously dies right after being taken off a suicide watch in a federal prison during the administration of the guy who is blocking the release of the information.
Every time Trump lashes out, it's like adding lighter fluid to Colbert's fire. You can almost hear the producers at CBS popping champagne every time Trump rage posts about very unfair late-night losers. Because when a man who once suggested injecting bleach into humans calls you dangerous, you know you're doing something right. Trump tries to play tough, but his skin is thinner than the ice at a climate change summit. He can't handle comedians, can't handle critique, and definitely can't handle being the butt of a joke that doesn't come with applause from a sycophantic crowd. Meanwhile, Colbert is the guy standing on stage, calmly pointing out that the emperor is not only naked, but also yelling at a lamppost about voter fraud. And if that's not Emmy-worthy, nothing is. Remember Trump's take on forest fires? Raking the forest. That was his plan. A man who thinks the Earth's lungs can be maintained with a leaf blower. Trump is obsessed with image, but Colbert is obsessed with truth. One covers up facts with fake tans and fog machines. The other peels back the nonsense layer by layer like an onion of absurdity, making you laugh and cry at the same time. Mostly cry from laughing too hard or from realizing this guy once had nuclear codes. And it drives Trump mad.
For years, before he was, reelected, and recently, since they all got into office, a bunch of high-ranking people in Trump's administration have kept promising to release the files surrounding Jeffrey Epstein, his mysterious clients, and his suspicious death. But now, suddenly, for reasons that I legally cannot think of, Donald Trump seems desperate to stop us from knowing who Jeffrey Epstein's clients were.
He can't silence comedians because jokes travel faster than lawsuits. He can't outwit Colbert because that would require reading something longer than a menu. He can't even distract from the roast by bragging about crowd sizes anymore because Colbert's punchlines pull more views than Trump's very legal and very cool press conferences. Even better, Colbert doesn't need to exaggerate. He just puts the absurdity in context and lets the audience do the rest. It's like watching someone slowly realize their business mogul hero once tried to buy a hurricane with Sharpie ink and wishful thinking. At this point, Colbert's roasting Trump with such precision, you'd think he majored in political satire and minored in presidential clown studies. And let's face it, there's been no shortage of material. Trump's social media app is flopping harder than his casino ventures. His legal woes are stacking up like expired Trump steaks in a Mar-a-Lago freezer. And yet, he keeps charging into battle like a malfunctioning Roomba trying to fight a mirror. And Colbert just sits back, popcorn in hand, monologue loaded, ready to turn Trump's latest misfire into comedy carnage. Trump wants control. Colbert wants comedy. And let's not forget, Trump's idea of clapping back is releasing a press statement that reads like a ransom note written by a sleep-deprived toddler. Meanwhile, Colbert's rebuttal is 5 minutes of razor-sharp satire, delivered with a grin so smug it could power a Tesla.
Unlike the payoffs from ABC and Twitter, Paramount's settlement did not include an apology. Instead, that's good. Instead, the corporation released a statement where they said, "You may take our money, but you will never take our dignity. You may, however, purchase our dignity for the low, low price of $16 million. We need the cash."
See, the fact remains this isn't a fair fight. It's a massacre of dignity, of logic, of hair gel budgets. Trump can scream all he wants about low ratings and very unfair jokes, but Colbert has already won. Not with volume, but with precision. Not with rage, but with ridicule. Not with rallies, but with roasts. And Trump, bless his overcooked ego, keeps coming back for more. Like a moth to a flame, or a con man to a courtroom. Every time he attacks Colbert, he gives him more ammo, more content, more reasons for us to grab the popcorn and tune in. So if Trump thought he could outmatch a man whose job is making America laugh at the absurdity of politics, he should probably stick to what he's best at: losing lawsuits, dodging subpoenas, and mistaking satire for fake news. Because when it comes to a war of words, Colbert's not just playing chess, he's playing 4D sarcasm on a late-night stage, while Trump's still trying to remember how the horse moves. At this point, Trump going after Colbert is like a flamingo challenging a wood chipper. It's bizarre, colorful, and ends in feathers everywhere. The man who once stared at a solar eclipse with his bare eyeballs really thought he could outsmart the human embodiment of a Harvard degree and a mic drop. Trump's rebuttals sound like expired fortune cookies read by a malfunctioning Furby, while Colbert's clapbacks land with the elegance of a Shakespearean insult wrapped in a roast beef sandwich.
See, last week, Trump's press secretary said this.
I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks."
That would have been perfect for me, because we would have been on vacation next week and I wouldn't have known any of this was happening. Now I'm going to have to cancel my reservation at Sandals Fordo.
And every time Trump rants about nasty late-night guys, Colbert's ratings spike like Mar-a-Lago's thermostat during a climate change denial convention. It's honestly a gift. Trump is the only person who can lose an argument he started against a man armed with nothing but a tie clip and a thesaurus. Meanwhile, Colbert's desk might as well be a throne, and his monologue, a royal decree of comedic doom. Trump could spend the next 5 years tweeting from whatever social media bunker he's currently hiding in, and Colbert would still turn each typo tantrum and tantrum about a typo into pure gold. It's not even David versus Goliath. It's Goliath accidentally hitting himself in the face with his own club, and Colbert narrating it in iambic pentameter.